In this video you will meet the 25 best football players in history. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar allowed Lionel Messi to win the first World Cup in his career in what was one of his best tournaments on an individual level. The Argentine star led his team to the third start in its history by scoring in the group stage, round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals and in the grand final against France. In addition, he became the first player in history to win the World Cup Ballon d'Or twice, as he won it in this tournament and in Brazil 2014. Now, with a complete record, many position the Rosario player as the best player in history, but other specialists continue to discuss this title. 25. Socrates, Brazil. The Che Guevara of football. A man as important off the field as on the field, he democratized Corinthians, creating a voting system for the club's decision-making. The doctor is one of the most significant figures in the history of Brazilian football. He was also tremendously brilliant with a ball at his feet. Despite being a chain smoker, the rare blend of elegance and power, Socrates was the perfect versatile midfielder. 24. Lothar Matthaus, Germany. Lothar Matthaus has the biggest ego on this list. That's really saying something. But the size of his ego is almost justifiable. Simply put, Matthaus was the most complete player of his generation. A generation that coincidentally spawned players like Michel Platini, Diego Maradona, Zico, etc. The born winner and a born world shaker, his goal against Yugoslavia in the 1990 FIFA World Cup definitely registered on the Richter scale. Matthaus could do it all, and he did. 23. Ronaldinho, Brazil. The candle that burns twice as bright lasts half as long is a quote that perfectly sums up Ronaldinho's career. Between 2004 and 2006, the world witnessed something truly special, a footballer who played the beautiful game with genuine joy. The moves, the tricks, the golden boots, the smile, the fake Nike 80, Ronaldinho was a walking advertisement for everything good about football. 22. Ruud Gullit. At this very moment, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the most dominant force in the sport. Before Greek Freak, that title was held by Shaquille O'Neal. And before Big Shaq, it was held by AC Milan legend Ruud Gullit. In the late 1980s, Gullit was the unstoppable force leading an unstoppable AC Milan juggernaut that dominated European football, deservedly winning the football equivalent of the MVP award. 1987 Ballon d'Or. The Dutch international was the football equivalent of a triple-double machine. He could no be interrupted. 21. Romário, Brazil. According to Romário scored more than 1,000 goals. There are many goals, and while that may not be true, there's no doubt that Romário was incredibly talented. The king of the balloon was one of the most composed and clinical scorers of the 1990s and, above all, a great player. With the 1994 FIFA World Cup Ballon d'Or here, the Clásico hat-trick there, Romário was a man for the big occasion. 20. Eusébio, Portugal. Like Romário, Eusébio was a supreme goal-scorer. Unlike Romário, Eusébio did not exclaim that he had scored more than 1,000 goals in his career, but it was pretty close to doing it. To perfectly exemplify the talent of the Black Panther, check out his 4 goals in Portugal's comeback victory over North Korea in the 1966 FIFA World Cup. 19. Marco van Basten, Netherlands. It's a testament to Marco van Basten that he won 3 Ballon d'Ors and due to injuries is still considered a what could have been story. That's how good Marco van Basten was. Equal parts technically sublime and extremely powerful, Van Basten was the perfect number 9. 18. George Best, England. Without a doubt, the coolest footballer on this list. Hands down. It's not a contest. Known affectionately as the 5th Beatle, George Best is perhaps remembered more for his off-field antics than for his on-field achievements. However, that doesn't mean he wasn't extraordinarily talented, because it was 100%. In fact, he is the most naturally talented footballer the British and Irish Isles have ever produced. However, Ballon d'Or and European Cup winner Best reached the peak early in his career, but what a peak it was. Pelé called me the best footballer in the world. That is the ultimate tribute to my life. 17. Zico, Brazil. Zico catches the ball near the halfway line and makes a seemingly aimless pass to the left side of the penalty area. To normal humans, that path seemed aimless, but Zico saw an opportunity. Moments later, Flamengo led 1-0 against the best Liverpool of all time. 30 minutes later, Flamengo scored 3 goals thanks to 2 more assists from Zico. An hour later, they were world champions. That was Zico, the genius who saw the game differently. The genius who could conjure something out of absolutely nothing. The genius who made everyone around him better. The greatest scorer in the history of Flamengo. 16. Franco Baresi, Italy. Unlike many of the players on this list, the peak criteria means we've had to move Baresi down a few spots. After all, what stands out about the Italian is his incredible consistency throughout his 20-year career. However, Baresi is still listed among 90 minimum guess top 20 footballers of all time, because if you look at the years in which the defender was at the peak of his powers, it was impossible to surpass him. 15. Ferenc Puskás, Hungary. If you've seen any footage of Ferenc Puskás, you've probably seen some blurry clips of a rather fat guy scoring an obscene amount of goals for Real Madrid and thought, God, how long has it been since Gonzalo Higuain played for Real Madrid? I can assure you that, although Puskás found goals quite frequently in Los Blancos, his peak came much earlier. He wasn't always so beefy. By the early 1950s, he was at the peak of his physical powers and managing one of the most exceptional football teams of all time. He magical Magyar's star was, in many ways, the perfect footballer. Strong, skilled, goalscorer and, perhaps most importantly, leader. Do you really want to see how good Puskás was? Watch his goal against England in the match of the century. After grabbing the ball on the edge of the 6-yard box, the striker dragged the ball back, leaving the lead right for dead, before firing into the roof of the net. That goal is how good Puskás was, absolutely exceptional. 14. Paolo Maldini, Italy. If you had to make the perfect footballer in some kind of laboratory, you would probably create Paolo Maldini. And, let's be honest, you'd probably call him Paolo Maldini too, because, well, what a name. Maldini is the most complete footballer of the last 30 years. At the very least, a 9/10 in every position he could play, and a 10/10 week in and week out as a defender. When Nike ran the advertising campaign, Italy's goalkeeper, the easiest job in the world. They were right. Maldini made it the easiest job in the world. He made each of his teammates' jobs the easiest in the world. 13. Gerd Müller, Germany. The Bomber. Gerd Müller equals the best goalscorer of all time. He is. Don't send me any alternative. The sky is blue. The grass is green. And Gerd Müller is the best scorer of all time. These are all facts of life. 68 goals in 62 international matches for West Germany. The man scored 67 goals in a single season, in just 49 appearances. He also scored the goal that gave West Germany the 1974 FIFA World Cup. The scorer for the big moments, the small moments and every moment in between. 12. Main Göransson. Göransson is the most amateur footballer that professional football has ever produced. He never trained. He had no agent, he didn't bother to read his contracts, and he usually signed them before the figures had been filled in. And yet, despite being an amateur, having never trained, preferring to go to the beach and play football with his teammates and having bent legs, Main Göransson is one of the best players of all times. Göransson is the original star of samba football, someone who took the game played on the streets of Brasilia, Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo to the international stage and used it to win 2 FIFA World Cups. 11. Alfredo Di Stefano. People argue between Pelé or Maradona. Di Stefano is the best, much more complete. Pelé. Di Stefano was one of the best footballers of all time. He had great balance. Mr. Alex Ferguson. The most complete footballer in the history of the game. Used. He was simply the smartest football player I've ever seen. If I had to choose one player among all of them to save my life, it would be him. Mr. Bobby Charlton. After reading the aforementioned praise for Alfredo Di Stefano, do you really need me to say something about him? So, moving on. 10. Roberto Baggio. Italy. He led Italy to 2 World Cup podiums in 1990 and 1994, but also shone in Serie A for teams such as Fiorentina, Juventus, Milan and Inter. A player with a special class on the field. 9. Michel Platini, France. A great player on the field, but today he is being remembered for what happened off it. He shone with his team but was left with the desire to lift the world title. He played and was the figure of Juventus, with whom he won a Champions League. 8. Cristiano Ronaldo, Portugal. He gave Portugal its first titles in its history with the Euro Cup and the Nations League, but he also has impressive records that make his name bigger. He had his best moment with Real Madrid, with whom he won 4 Champions Leagues. He has 5 Ballon d'Ors to his name. 7. Zinedine Zidane, France. With a special class when playing with the ball at his feet. He was the great leader of the team that gave his country its first World Cup. In addition, he won the Euro Cup, the UEFA Champions League and the Ballon d'Or on an individual level. 6. Ronaldo, Brazil. The best center forward in history. Nobody will be able to define every goal situation like him. Two-time world champion with Verde Amarela. When he was at his physical peak, he was the most decisive player in the world. It's a shame that his career was marked by injuries. 5. Johan Cruyff, Netherlands. The Dutchman played football that was very advanced for his time, leading to great teams that marked his era such as A Clockwork Orange, Ajax and Barcelona. Without a doubt, he was a character very loved by everyone in the football world. 4. Franz Beckenbauer, Germany. The best defender on this list. He was the leader of the 1974 German champion team and a fundamental part of the Bayern Munich team that knew how to be at the forefront of Europe for many years. 3. Pelé, Brazil. The best Brazilian in history and one of the best scorers to ever step on the playing field. He led Brazil to 3 world titles while, in the first of them, he was a teenager. He was always in the conversation for being the best. 2. Diego Maradona, Argentina. With a very particular technique and charisma, he played the best world championship in history on an individual level, leading Argentina to its 2nd world title. He transformed Napoli into one of the best teams in Italy and European football. 1. Lionel Messi, Argentina. With the world title achieved in Qatar 2022, Messi managed to win all the tournaments he ever played in. He established himself as the best in history based on his goals, assists and spectacular moments that remained in everyone's memories.